Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today I want to talk to you guys about why mastery over yourself and your desires is the key to victory in life. So I think a lot of us have the idea that we're battling other people, or we're battling the government, or we're battling other people or different political parties, or we're battling the feminists, or we're battling the globalists or the climate change activists, or whoever group you think that's out there to get you, who's out there to make you oppressed, or whoever's out there to take your money and rob you. And to some degree, that may have some truth to it. But guys, the biggest victory that you're going to experience in your life is the victory over your senses, over your desires, over your innate instinctual impulse to reproduce and to survive. So what is that? That is basically food and sex. When you control your food intake, when your diet is on point, when you're eating correctly, when you're eating sufficiently, you're not overeating, you're not undereating, you're eating correctly, you're eating timely prepared meals, and you are retaining your sexual energy. When you master those two things, when you can control what you put in your mouth and what you view on your phone, and basically controlling touching yourself, when those two things are controlled, you become the master of your whole reality. And why do I say that? When you have control over those two basic instinctual impulses that constantly nag at us 24/7, everything else in your life, everything else starts to flow, starts to become easier, right? Your consistency with everything you do becomes inevitable, right? Because once you master yourself, you master your world, you master your finances, you master your craft, you master everything that you want to do, that you want to create, that you want to see in your physical reality. You bring that into reality because you're able to control your human impulses. And to the degree that you cannot control your impulses will be to the degree that you can't manifest a certain reality that you want to envision and see for yourself. So, everyone thinks that there's some sort of thing to conquer outside. There's people to conquer, or there's things to do and fight this person and fight that and learn this and learn that. I'll tell you this: if you want to learn a skill, that's great. If you want to go to school, that's great. If you want to, basically develop yourself in some area of your life, that's great. But to the degree that you're going to be successful at that is to the degree that you're going to be able to use your mind efficiently, right? And think about it real quick. If your digestive system is constantly clogged with food, processed food that's blocking your mental clarity, that's inducing brain fog, how the hell are you going to be able to become a top tier scholar, or how are you going to be able to be an effective public speaker if you can't control the type of food that goes into your body, right? Because if you have chemicals in your brain and you're all foggy and you're tired, it's going to be extremely difficult for you to be an effective thinker and an effective creator, right? So that's one example. And then when it comes to touching yourself and overcoming lust, well, it's the same situation, arguably worse, but it's the same situation. When you're constantly releasing, when you're constantly giving into your desire to reproduce, which is, like I said, it's natural to an extent. When you give into that, when you fully give into that and you become a slave to it, that's when the mental clarity starts to fade. You seem to be in a dull state constantly. There's a certain void that covers your consciousness, right? There's a certain emptiness that you feel just existing throughout the day. And obviously from that state of emptiness, from that state of confusion, from that dullness, you just perpetuate the problem, right? And you never get clear, you never purify yourself, you never purify your heart, your mind. So it's really difficult to advance on the evolutionary path, right? So overcoming food and pornography, or just overall lust in general. I mean, you're always as a man, you're always gonna have a high sex drive. I mean, that's just, especially when you retain. But if you're able to purify your thoughts in regards to women, it makes lust a lot easier to deal with, right? Obviously combined with fasting, so on and so forth. So you guys need to understand that it's great that you want to become financially free. It's great that you want to build a family. It's great that you want to, you know, maybe you want to become a politician. Maybe you want to become an artist. Maybe you want to become a lawyer, a doctor, or somebody important, somebody that's doing great work for humankind. That's great. That's awesome. But when people look at you, when people ask you questions, when people are, you know, looking for help and guidance, you have to know in your heart that you've mastered yourself. You've mastered your desires. You've studied. You've mastered the craft of your body, of your desires, of controlling what you put in your body, right? Because think about it, right? If people feel like they can't trust you, or if you can't trust yourself, how are other people going to trust you, right? If you can't trust that you have control over your own sovereignty, over your own body in terms of, you know, lust and gluttony, most prominently, if you are not in control of that area of your life, those two areas, how are other people going to look to you for guidance and help if you haven't overcome yourself, right? So I have a good quote here from Aristotle. So he writes, quote, "I count him braver who overcomes his desires than him who conquers his enemies, for the hardest victory is over self," right? So the hardest victory is not fighting wars against other people. It's not winning debates. It's not, you know, whatever we deem as a victorious feat. It's not that. The day you win life is the day you win over yourself. And winning over yourself is a constant battle, but little victories at a time, little streaks at a time, little wins at a time start to accumulate in your life. And as you continue to evolve, as you continue to grow, your life becomes more clear. Your reality starts to become better. It becomes more conducive for your growth, spiritual growth, financial growth, relationships. Everything becomes better as you continue to move forward, as it pertains to controlling your human impulses, right? So I don't think a lot of people talk about this. I don't think that it's discussed highly in any field, really. You know, humans are so outwardly focused on other people, on, you know, different governments, this government program, that government program, these people over here, those people over there. We're so focused outward. But when do we ever sit down and ask ourselves, maybe I'm the problem? Maybe, you know, there's 7 billion people on this planet and everyone has their issues, but maybe I can make life a little bit better for me and the people around me in my community if I fix myself. Because like I said, it's very easy to look out and look at the problems in others, especially, like I said, when it comes to government, politics, you know, different ideological movements and whatnot. But ask yourself, are you perfect? Are you still struggling with certain vices and certain negative thinking patterns, right? Because it's easy to point the finger at other people and blame women, blame politicians, blame people in power, blame this food organization, blame this social media platform. It's easy to do all of that, right? It's very simple. But think about it, right? When you're think about it. If you're not part of the solution, by default, you are the problem, right? So if you're not doing the work to overcome your dark side, to overcome your addictions, your problems, your own demons, if for lack of better terms, then you're just masking, you're just projecting, right? You're just projecting your own inadequacies, your own demons onto the world, right? And, you know, it's very important that we understand this. And I think the first step, obviously towards self-mastery in any regard, in every regard, obviously it's ever evolving. Your life is going to be ever evolving. But the first step is you got to overcome your bodily desires, right? So for some of us, for me, for example, I never struggled with weed. I never struggled with alcohol. I never struggled with cocaine or heroin or any of those harder drugs. I never struggled with LSD, or people do struggle with LSD or psychedelics. I don't know. I never really had that issue. it was always pornography and overconsumption of food, and to some degree, video games and phone and cell phone usage. But when I understood at a certain point that, like, if I don't get control of my food and I don't get control of the porn, how on God's earth am I going to be able to do anything of significance? And how am I going to withstand consistency in difficult times? Because here's the thing. I think a lot of people get this wrong too when they talk about NoFap or semen retention. Everyone, you know, a lot of people, including myself, I've done this. We like to think that it's like the magic tool. It's the thing that's going to save the world, right? And that's right, it is. But here's the thing. You're always going to have difficulty. You're always going to have different challenges pop up in your life at different times, at different stages. Now, that could be in relationships, that could be in a career, that could be in a business. It could be a plateau in the gym, or it could be some psychological phenomenon. It could be something with your family, whatever. It doesn't matter what it is. I think the point to illustrate here is that overcoming your senses and having mastery over yourself, particularly me, like I said, the biggest two things were pornography and overconsumption of food. I'm in a better state of control and in a better state of resilience. And I have more confidence in my ability to take on those challenges with conviction that I'll overcome them, right? Because the thing about it, right? And like I said, Aristotle said it himself. If you can overcome yourself, right, that's the hardest victory. So if you overcame pornography, if you overcame your food addiction, right, you can overcome a relationship struggle. You can overcome something that's in the way in your career, in your business, right? Because like I said, you've gone through struggle before with yourself. So any outward struggle that you see, you already have the experience in you and the mental fortitude in you to be able to handle that challenge. Because like I said, it takes mental fortitude to be able to stick to a diet and eat the correct foods day in and day out. It takes mental fortitude to not act upon your sexual urges when they arise. So after developing all of that willpower and that strength and that character and that discipline, now guess what? Like I said, when challenges come with your relationships, you're able to handle them because you're like, wait, I've dealt with things that, you know, were difficult before when it came to eating correctly and staying disciplined with my diet. And I was able to overcome my urges to watch pornography, and I was able to fast for an extended period of time. So what is this little little block in the road, right? Whatever it is. So I think that's really key to understand, right? So the battle is never outside of us, right? If anything, we're in a spiritual battle for the biggest battle is your mind, right? You win the war of life when you win the war of your mind, right? And the war of your mind is never ending, but you can, like I said, your progress is defined by the little victories, right? The 7-day streak that you go on when you're first starting out, the 7-month streak that you accomplish when you're 2 years into your recovery, right? You know, sticking to maybe a keto diet for 30 days, right? I'm just giving you guys examples, right? I'm not saying this is exactly what it is, but when you learn to overcome those bodily pleasures and you learn to control yourself, everything else becomes much easier and you become more resilient when challenges come your way. So yeah, that's it. That's all, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you are new to my channel, make sure to subscribe. If you guys have any questions, comments, leave them down below. And as always, I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.